Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well. Is the return of Premier League action. Rob Edwards will be in the dugout for the first time as Wolves head coach in the Premier League. We've just had his pre-match press conference. Of course, we'll get the opposition perspective later on in the video as well. Big shout out once again to the channel partners for today's video, John McFarlane, who has got these fantastic Wolves quiz books up for grabs over on Amazon. So, yeah, if you want to go and check those out, whether it's a word search, whether it's a quiz, I think it's perfect around the Christmas period, whether it's a present or whether you want to test your family's knowledge at those family parties over test their Wolves knowledge. Be sure to go and check those out in the description down below. But yes, Wolves hosting Palace. We're back at Molineux this weekend. It feels like absolutely ages because I missed the Burnley game. I think Burnley was the last home game, wasn't it? So I missed the Burnley game. So it feels like forever since I've been to Molineux, at least. So I'm really hoping that we can see positive change. Of course, things can't get much worse for Wolves as of right now, sat at the foot of the table. But Rob Edwards has come in over the last week or so, started training and coaching with the players on Monday. So he's had sort of 5 working days with them so far, going into tomorrow's game against the Crystal Palace team, who have looked very, very good, really, ever since Oliver Glasner took over at Selhurst Park. So it is going to be a tricky test for Rob Edwards in his debut match in the dugout. But yes, we did have his pre-match press conference earlier on today. Always intrigued to see what questions are asked, what sort of response, what sort of attitude, what sort of vibe that we get from the head coach. And as expected, Rob Edwards, pretty laid back, I would say, but at the same time seemed very passionate, wanted to get his point across. Of course, a lot of the journalists, especially the national journalists, wanted to try and get those questions in about Middlesbrough, which I suppose was always going to be asked, especially when he's he sent an apology out to Middlesbrough fans, or sort of a farewell message in the Wolves' first interview. Of course, Middlesbrough were never mentioned, so I suppose we're always going to be bound to see the questions about that at some point. But in terms of the teams, the players, he said that there is a lot of passion in this squad, and he wants to get the passion out of them and, get that onto the pitch, and with passionate footballers, you can get them to play better football, and hopefully we can see that. He seemed very positive in the quality of the players that were at the club, and also quite realistic. I think he mentioned that a number of times. He knows where the team are, what situation the club is in. And we have to be realistic about that. Wolves aren't in a good position and may well be in a lower division come the start of next season. But he is up to the job. It's his dream job. We've heard him say that, and he wants to get Wolves out of this mess. And hopefully we can start by doing that tomorrow against Crystal Palace. In terms of team news, Matt Doherty is still out injured. We knew that. That was still possibly going to be the case, but he's back sort of on the pitch now, training. Dan Bentley, wasn't expecting him to start or necessarily be in the squad, but he has got an ankle problem at the moment. And of course, Rodrigo Gomez still nursing an injury that he picked up against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Other than that, it's a fit and ready squad for Rob Edwards. Emmanuel Agbadou returns from suspension following his red card against Fulham. So really, at the moment, I don't know what to say in terms of a predicted lineup. So unfortunately, I'm going to be quite boring and give the predicted lineup a miss this week. But what maybe we can expect, of course, we've done articles on our website. We've had discussions with the Luton fans and with the Middlesbrough fans. I would expect us to see a back 5 still, with a middle 2 and a front 3. I'm really, really interested to see which personnel Rob goes for. Of course, there's been players this week that he would have spent more time with. He said that there were only players returning today from international duty. So those are probably the guys over sort of the South Americas and so on, possibly the likes of Jean-Luc Bellegarde, who was playing for Haiti fairly late on in the international break. So I'll be very, very interested to see who he goes with. You would expect Jorgen Strand-Larsen to start. João Gomez and Andre's probably had the most time with this week as well. The goalkeeper situation will be an interesting one. Of course, it's recently, under Vitor Pereira, switched back to Sam Johnston. Will Jose Sarr have another stab at becoming number 1? Who knows? Will Emmanuel Agbadou come back in lots of players and lots of question marks about that squad. But what's key for Wolves is that we back Rob, we back the manager tomorrow. There may be things before the game, pre-game, aimed at Jeff Shee and or Fosun. But tomorrow, I think the main task is to help the boys, back Rob, and hopefully we see a response from it. I'm really hoping the manager bounce. We have seen it at Wolves. We saw it under Vitor Pereira. I'm really hoping we can see it because a couple of positive results over the next few weeks of Wolves can make the league table look very, very different. But we'll wait and see. But who knows? One way maybe. How can we get the fans up for it? Can they? Jeff Shee said we could press that reset button. Well, could we see the liquidator? Could we see certain things come back pre-match? Can we get the fans pumped up and ready to support this team ahead of what is now, yes, it's a clean slate, but we're in a very, very sticky situation and we really need to bounce back. And Palace, for as good as they've been, I feel we've got the quality to give them a match. But when Palace do turn it on, they're a very, very difficult team to stop. Mateta, the midfield pairing, Wharton is a fantastic player who is one Wolves missed out on and should have really gambled on a couple of years ago. So it will be a tricky game, but he's hoping Rob can do us all proud and help us get back to winning ways. It was good to catch up as well with D from the back of the nest, Crystal Palace page, to get his thoughts on Palace so far this season, or what maybe we can expect at Molineux tomorrow.
So then, D, great to have you back on the channel. Wolves against Palace this weekend. How you been, man?
Yeah, I've been good. Since we last spoke, well, to be fair, when we last spoke, we won the FA Cup, but of course now we've got a Europe to focus on this year and the Premier League as well. So yeah, I've been very busy, but let's say it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a good start to the season so far as well, to be fair. It's a really solid start for Palace. Sat around mid-table, but only lost 2 Premier League games so far, of course, alongside the European journey. What's your take on the start of the season so far?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Right now we are 4 games unbeaten. We were in a run of 19 games unbeaten until Everton stopped that, which is typical. We always lose against Everton no matter what happens. I don't know how many games they've won since beating us. So yeah, it's been it was a long summer because of transfer speculation as well as what happened with the UEFA situation, get demoted to the Conference League. But so far, it's been going good. I know we are 10th in the league, but I think only like there's one win that can, push us up to. I'm not saying we'll go up to there because there's many teams between us, but up to second or third. So it's still very tight early on in the season, between 10th to the top side of the league. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. And we needed an international break to have some rest because we've got crazy November, December coming up with Europe and the Premier League. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of the summer as well, I suppose your summer was disrupted a little bit with what was going on with the European football being demoted from the Europa League to the Conference League. But the transfer window for Palace fans, because you had a little bit of madness towards the end with Gahey and his collapse move to Liverpool. But in terms of incomings, it was potentially a little bit slower than a lot of
Hmm.
outsiders would have expected. What was your take on that?
Yeah, we lost our sporting director, Dougie Friedman, back in March times.
Yeah.
And we basically went into this window looking a bit lost, in all honesty. In terms of, even with the gay situation, it seemed like there was no proper plan. It led on to the final day, and even with incomings as well, which Christantas Uche, for example, I think was also linked to Wolves as well. He hasn't featured as much, and there's talks about him potentially going back to Getafe in January. So it's been a bit of a rough ride, in that sense, in terms of incomings. Then again, there have been positives as well. Jeremy Pino joined us from Villarreal, and he's got bags of experience, and he's slowly settling down into the Premier League. And JD Cambo, who's actually featured in a few games back in defence now, he's looking like a very good talent as well, only 19 years old. So yeah, you've got some players that are slowly bedding in, other players struggling more than likes of, and that's pretty much Uche more than maybe Cambo and Jeremy Pino. But it wasn't the best of summers. There was just so much noise, and we just needed to sort out the sporting director side of things. Which, funny enough, I believe we've got Matt Hobbs,
Matt
but
Hobbs, yeah.
yeah,
It's never been
yeah,
officially been confirmed, has it? But
he
I
hasn't
think
been
he is there.
confirmed. And we thought after the window ended, there was news around. Well, there was talks around it that it's been now confirmed. But then I saw something, I think about a month ago, suggesting that it's not as confirmed as we thought it was.
Yeah,
So
I think
I was
he
a
is
bit,
there, but it
yeah.
wouldn't surprise me if he was dealing with things throughout the summer for you anyway. But I
I
don't
don't
think it was.
think so. I think you'll see Parrish. Someone will
Yeah.
see Parrish. We were rumoured with him during the summer, and I think
Mm.
he featured in a few Palace games towards the end of the window. But in all honesty, he didn't have much time to work on, anyways, because when the rumours started coming in, it was a bit late on. So I'm pretty sure now he seems like he could be involved a bit more after the
Yeah.
window's closed, and there has been rumors about new contracts being signed and even potential incomings already. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that because this summer was a bit of a mess in terms of the backroom staff and what went on.
It'll be interesting to see what impact he has, if any, going into January as well. The one player you mentioned there was Cristantas Uche. He was a player that was linked with Wolves. The Spanish media made a bit of a mess of this story because there were so many sort of narratives going on with what was going on. I understand that Wolves, in the end, I think Vitor Pereira at the time changed his mind on the player, although it was someone Wolves were genuinely interested in. Obviously, he's ended up going to Palace. Like you mentioned, I think it's 26 minutes in the league so far. Obviously, he had a little bit of game time in Europe as well. But what's been your take on him? What's gone wrong, do you think?
I just, my gut instinct, of course, I'm not entirely sure in terms of inside info on this, but I think there's a trust issue between Glasner and Uche. Saying that it's still early on. I mean, he's just joined us. He joined, Premier League side. There will be some adjustment period. But the reason why I do think there's a trust issue is because JD Campbell, who also joined in summer, younger than Uche, in fact, got less first team football experience than Uche. He still has played him in defence when he's needed, and he started a game against Brighton, for example, when Gay was out, where we could have played Jefferson Lerma, who has played as a centre back, because I feel like Glasner trusts him enough, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
Campo, to play him there. But Uche, forget about starting games. He hasn't really made that many appearances off the bench when we've had fixture congestion. And even if he's making appearances off the bench, the question is, where does he even fit in? Because when he first joined Palace, we were told that he's a very versatile player. He can play as a 6, as a 10, as a 9. So it's just been confusing, to be fair. But my gut instinct, as I've said, I think Glasner just doesn't think he's ready yet. And is it just a case of he's not ready yet now, or does he think that maybe he's not good enough? And the good thing, I guess, for Palace is that technically we thought we signed him on a permanent deal, but that is not the case. Apparently, that gets triggered if he plays 10. Well, if he starts 10 games for us, which he hasn't done so far. And I don't. Honestly, if it's going to continue as it is, I don't see him really starting 2 games for us, let alone 10. So there's a possibility now of him going back to Getafe. And also, he's been liking stuff about, his playing time and on Instagram, lack of playing time and stuff like that. So yeah, he's not really helping himself. But of course, I'm expecting on Friday of Glasner actually speaking about maybe someone asking him questions about Uche, because we do need him. November, December, we do need him. But I'm not too sure how much of a role he'll play.
I don't know. Would he go to AFCON as well? Is he, or do you?
I don't think he's going to get selected. I don't think he got called up to the Nigeria squad for this latest international fixtures, probably because of his playing time, and I doubt he'll get called up to the AFCON squad. So yeah, I don't think he will be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think Glasner is a manager. He probably doesn't. I think I read earlier on he doesn't rotate too much. But saying that doesn't even excuse why he's not coming off the bench. You would, even if there's a manager that doesn't rotate, you think there'd be opportunities there. But we had similar with Carlos Forbes last year. We had him on loan from Ajax, and it was going to be permanent. I think if he started 10 games as well, I think he started 2 matches for us all season, left. And I mean, he started brilliantly for Club Brugge in the Champions League. So looks like maybe he's one that got away, but we'll wait and see. You mentioned Glasner quite a lot there, D. What's your stance on him at the moment? What's his future looking like? Because again, there was a little bit of speculation on him going into last summer as well.
Yeah, well, there have been rumours about him potentially. He's been linked to Bayern Munich, United as well. However, United seem like they want to stick with Amram, which is good news for us. Bayern Munich, they're doing very well under Vincent Company. And then when you're looking at other top sides, I'm not too sure he really needs a manager change. I
Yeah.
mean, if Tottenham's going to change Thomas Frank this early on, then I'd be surprised, because it seems like a long-term project with them. So with Glasner, he said it all along. As long as there's a project, as long as there's ways for the club to grow, he'll be happy at Palace. His contract does run out at the end of the season. Um, the talks from the club are that they're not extremely worried about losing him so far. So it just seems like they're just having talks behind the scenes. Nothing has been verbally agreed. So we're going to have to wait and see with that. But there is uncertainty with Oliver Glasner and his future at Palace. But from what I can see, he's enjoying his time at Palace. He just needs assurances that, we are going to reinvest, we are going to grow as a football club. And I mean, Steve Parish, for example, he did come out and mentioned about the gay situation on a podcast recently and said that, I went up to Oliver Glasner and I asked him, I said, can we do it? And he basically said, not in the short term, but long term will be fine. And, he took that decision of rather backing a manager than going with the finances.
Yeah.
So Steve Parish is, I guess, trying his best. That's positive to hear. I mean, Glasner will be happy with that, but nothing has been agreed yet.
Yeah, it seems like from the outside. I mean, we've had conversations over the years where Palace just seem to be in an absolute disastrous position, whether it's manager turmoil off the pitch. But it seems like Palace are probably in the best state they've been in. Like as a neutral looking in, it looks like the best state they've been in probably since I started speaking to you, D, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm loving life right now in terms of where we are. I went to Poland for the Conference League game.
Yeah, it's the best, man.
Yeah,
The European
exactly.
games.
Yeah, I'll be going to Ireland as well, as we'll be facing Shelbourne. People laughed at us when we got demoted from the Europa League, and lots of Palace fans were, angry, right? So I was one of them. But I was still looking forward to watching
It'll
Palace
give
in
you
Europe.
opportunities, and you will go to grounds and watch Palace at grounds. You will never ever have the opportunity to watch them at
Exactly, and on paper, going into this tournament, based on the bookies, we are the favourites to go win it. So there's a lot of pressure on us, and there's a sense between Palace fans, considering what West Ham done, Chelsea did as well, that we could go far in this competition. So I've been enjoying it, but saying that, we have got a very difficult month or two coming up, but I think this is the best time to be a Palace fan. You speak to older generations, like everyone is in agreement. So it's not something where we're dreading to look forward to. We're excited to see what we could do, because under this manager, he literally says it, and we've seen it as well. He goes into every game with the mentality of winning, and it has worked. It has worked so far. Won the Community Shield, of course, and then the FA Cup, and now we want to see what we can do in the league as well as the Conference League, to be fair.
Yeah, no, you've had it, like I said earlier, you've had a really solid start to the season, to be fair. But I mean, on the flip side of that, Wolves have had a disastrous start. We're still winless at the moment, but new change in managers. It will be Rob Edwards' first game in the dugout for Wolves as head coach. And again, I'm not expecting you to have watched much of Wolves this season, but any players give you a little bit of a worry going into Saturday's game? Any Wolves players you think that could cause you any problems?
I think you've got technical players in your side, but I don't think Vitor Pereira got the best out of them. And in honesty, I know Vitor Pereira from the times he was in Turkey, as I'm Turkish. He was managing Fenerbahce. And when he actually first got appointed to Wolves, I was shocked. I was like, how on earth did he end up in the Premier League? Because he nearly got Fenerbahce relegated. And if you don't know Turkish football, for the viewers, Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, these are sides that normally compete for the top, for the title. Yeah, exactly. So I was surprised. I didn't want to say it to maybe last year, but there was always going to be this drop off with Vitor Pereira. I had a feeling it was a case of him coming in, sorting stuff out behind the scenes, and you have that new manager bounce that people love to say, and I think that was the case of it. I think long term, I literally didn't see it working based on what I saw in Turkey. So now that he's gone, Rob Edwards, of course, he knows the club well. I think you needed a fresh start. And I think he can get the best out of the players, such as Strand Larsen, which I'm worried about when we're talking about players, because I think he's tall, also very physical and technically very good player as well. So that's the one I'm really looking at, because hopefully everyone should be fit. There are questions about whether Gahey will be starting this game. It's looking positive that he should be. Daniel Munoz, he had to leave the Colombia camp due to personal reasons, but he's returned to training as well. But yeah, the defense, they've pretty much had a rest during the international break, but Gahey, our most important player and our best player, we don't know how fit he's going to be, and also Daniel Munoz, in terms of due to personal issues, how ready he's going to be. So I think if you're looking at your attack, Strand Larsen is the one that I'm most worried about.
Yeah, we need Jurgen to start hitting the ground running. been quite poor this season, but got a goal for Norway. Came off the bench after Haaland smashed it again, and then Jorgen scored against Italy. So I'm hoping that gives him a bit of confidence going into this game. And I'm hoping, you mentioned manager bounce there. We got it with Vitor Pereira. I really, really hope we can get it with Rob Edwards. Obviously, that would mean us beating Palace D on Saturday. But we'll see. What's your score prediction though going into this game? I mean, we've mentioned Palace. They've been in very, very good form. Probably thrown away a few games. I mean, you look 5 draws, I think, in the Premier League, which I'm sure Palace fans will be disappointed with. But fine margins. What do you reckon about Saturday?
I think the international break has gone very well for Palace in terms of minutes for players and also players coming back from injuries. So I think we're in a right state with the squad. And funny enough, Palace have always struggled coming off international break going into games. So this is a massive test once again to see. As you said, you have been struggling. You haven't got a single win so far this season, and I'm not worried about Glasner not getting it right in terms of complacency, especially with the players as well. That's not my main concern. It's just hopefully, as things have looked so far, it's looked positive. So based on that, I'm going to go for a 2-0 Palace win, but it's not going to be easy because you've got a new manager. I expect, of course, you're playing at home as well, and I expect the fans to have a reaction, and hopefully, for your sake, maybe after this game, let me not say hopefully after this game, you could actually have a bounce back. But I'm expecting some kind of response from the players with the new manager coming in. The good thing is, I guess Rob Edwards hasn't had that much time to work with the squad because some players have gone on international duty, so maybe that's a positive for Palace.
Yeah, I think he only started coaching on Monday as well. So, yeah, he's had a few days. Players that have been on internationals probably only came back in the last couple of days. So, you are right. But be interesting to see what the response, atmosphere, reaction is like from Wolves fans. But, yeah, I'm expecting a good game. We've been awful at Molineux, so I really hope it can change. But, I mean, that probably bodes well for you guys anyway. D, thanks for jumping on as always, mate. Where can people catch you and your content if they wish?
Yeah, thank you for having me on Back of the Nest on YouTube and all other social media platforms. Unfortunately, we won't be doing opposition preview on our channel due to scheduling issues. I've been very busy with work as well and haven't been able to do much during the international break. So I got a few content to release, but of course, all the best for the rest of the season, and hopefully we catch up on the reverse fixture.
Yeah, definitely, man. No worries. And yeah, same to you after Saturday. Hopefully, you can give us the 3 points. But yeah, all the best in that.
Not this Saturday. Next Saturday, next game.
no, cheers, D. I'll catch you soon. Cheers, man.
So big thanks to D. Once again, I'll make sure I leave a link to him in the description down below. As you guys know, obviously I'm not in the normal off. It's been a bit of a mental week for me, which I mentioned on the last couple of videos. But yeah, hopefully back to some sort of normality from next week or so. But yeah, I'll be back after tomorrow's game with my reaction. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, folks. And I'll see you all very, very soon.